Hello, everybody. Happy full moon, lunar eclipse, all the things, blood moon, buck moon.
Welcome.
Welcome, everybody. We have a very potent, cosmic energy going on right now. There's lots of planets in retrograde. There's lots of stuff going on. So we have a lot of really powerful stuff that we're working with right now.
Exactly.
So we are going, we're recording this as nobody is here with us live.
Which, guys, I'm not going to hold my tongue, is disappointing after everything that's been said in the group over the past few days with, requiring us to be on time and then to set a schedule and to offer more. We're not going to offer more if you're not showing up for what we're doing already. That's just a fact.
Guys, we go above and beyond to accommodate everyone's time zones and schedules. We do things like today, which are technically on our day off, so that it can accommodate everyone. And when nobody shows up, that makes us just want to, hey, Sydney.
Welcome, Sydney.
Just to finish that point, it makes us just want to not, that we're just going to do them according to our schedule. And if you can show up, you can show up. So glad you're here, Sydney. Hi. So we're not just talking to ourselves. So we're going to jump right into it because we do have a lot of stuff on today. So we're going to get started by, like we always do, we're going to talk to you guys a little bit about the energies that are at play and what they all mean. Is she muted? I think so. I don't hear anything, so I think we're good. Sorry. So we're going to break down the energies that we're working with, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. Oh, poor Atlas. He struggles to fall asleep. He's going to try to keep you awake. Maybe he'll like what we're doing, and he'll just hang out behind you. I see him in his swing. Hi, Trisha. Glad you're here. So yeah, we're gonna talk a little bit about the full moon. Sydney, I think, is this your first one with us? The first time coming to the moon ritual? Yeah, it is. Cool. And Trisha, of course, you're an old pro with us. So we usually break down, and for anybody that's catching this as the replay, we're gonna break down what this moon represents, what the energies at play right now are doing. Like I said in the very beginning, there's a lot layered into this moon. We've got a lunar eclipse, the longest lunar eclipse ever. I think it lasted like 103 minutes or something, 108 minutes. Really long lunar eclipse. Of course, we couldn't see it up here in America, but that doesn't mean that the energies still aren't there for us to work with, right? And eclipse energy is very potent. We're going to talk about that in a minute. So for any of you who are new to the moon work, let's first just briefly revisit the full moon and what the full moon represents, right? Because in astrology, when we start talking about, in a lot of historical study, they always say the moon rules a lot over our emotions. Like the sign of Cancer, the crab, which is a very emotional water sign, is ruled by the moon. The moon, we are what, 70-something% water? In the human body. And when we look at what the moon can do to the tides in the ocean, we have to stop and consider, hey, what is the moon doing to us?
Right.
So clearly we are going to be affected by this, our planetary body, moon, that's up there, seemingly removed from us. But if it can do that to the oceans and it can do that to the tides, clearly it's going to have an effect on us and our emotions as well, and the energies at play, right? Also rules over our intuition, the moon. So what you may start to see, the more in tune you get and the more connected you get by working with these cycles, you may start to notice very real patterns in yourself. You may feel sort of the same way around new moons, the same way around full moons. Maybe it might depend on which sign the new moon or the full moon is in, but you might start to notice some patterns for yourself, that maybe you get really edgy coming up to the full moon, maybe you get really emotional around the new moon, whatever it might be for you. But it's a great way to start to understand yourself, right? So also our intuition. And again, as above, so below, right? We can look to the heavens, we can look to the cosmos to kind of not give us all the answers, but to sort of guide us and to help us understand what's going on around here, right? Everybody wants astrology because they want to know and they want answers, rather than learning the astrology so they can better understand what's happening, right? It's not here to do all the work for us. It's not here to be blamed for all the problems. We, right? We still have to take responsibility. And of course, we all love to joke. It's Mercury retrograde. It's Mercury retrograde's fault. But
all the planets are in retrograde at the
yeah,
moment.
there's like 5 planets in retrograde. So that's a whole shit show in itself, right? So when the moon is full, clearly it's at its most potent. That's going to be when we feel the energy stuff strongest and then on the deepest level. This full moon is in Aquarius. I can't talk today. This full moon is in Aquarius. And we're going to talk a little bit about what that means in a moment. So the full moon is the most powerful in the cycle. Not that it's any more important than the other ones, because the new moon is very potent in its own way. Waxing moon energy, waning moon energy, all very, useful and potent in their own ways. But if you think about the moon coming to fullness, it's in all of its, power and glory at that moment of fullness. Mm-hmm. And of course, with anything 48 hours leading up to it, 48 hours after it, we can continue to work with this energy very powerfully.
And remember, the full moon is the time when the veil becomes thinnest. It's when they say the bridge between the worlds is most available to us.
Especially with the eclipse. The eclipse energy really thins out that veil. So full moon represents a couple things, right? As some of you know, some of you may be new to. Fullness, completion, end of a cycle, starting of the death, and especially with the eclipse energy that's layered into this full moon, that starting of the death vibe is going to be very present and very kind of interesting to work with. I mean, some of you guys may have been feeling this already. Some of you guys may have been noticing a lot of heightened tensions or very triggering types of things occurring. And it's not because, it's funny, I laugh because when I used to bartend, the nights that people would be the most crazy in the bar and everybody would be like acting ridiculous and getting in fights, I would always be like, what is it, a full moon or something? And 9 times out of 10, it was right around the full moon. So people don't even realize, unaware people don't even realize they're being affected by the full moon. And remember, we talked about that a couple of ceremonies back when we talked about the origin of the word lunatic coming from the effect that the moon has on us. Sydney, there was a horse walking by you.
So it's interesting, just in my own experience. You guys saw me post in the network about my not knowing who I am. Literally 48 hours ago, the process started for me, and it started with having just one morning waking up and having severe palpitations all day. My heart just did not stop fluttering all day, to the point where I was having trouble breathing throughout the day. And I listened to my body, and I went and got some coconut water, and it started going crazy, and then it normalized a little bit. And yesterday was interesting in that the emotional death in me, there were several times over the past 48 hours where I thought to myself, I am legit actually dying right now. And I have to be at peace with that. I can't hold on to the concept of this life anymore. I have to allow that to pass. If I'm dying, I have to be at peace with that. And yesterday, there was this massively emotional day. I was very teary all day, but I felt like my solar plexus had been pulled out of me. Like my entire solar plexus chakra was gone, and there was just this void inside of me where there was no identity. There was no recognition of the self. Everything that I have loved and held true across my life had no meaning to me. And the process seems to have come to a head right now. But it's interesting how this cycle is so strong and is affecting us all on such a profound identity-related level, like the death of the identity.
And yeah, as we kind of get a little bit more into all the layers, you're going to see how what Chris just said really sort of represents what this eclipse blood moon is all about. So let's take a moment and, more than one, I don't know. Sydney, yeah. And that's a point. That is a point for this whole moon cycle. So the Aquarian energy, Aquarius is an air sign, right? It's the end of January into February is our Aquarius time. Aquarian energy is very revolutionary, right? It's very forward thinking. It's very all about the bigger picture, the greater good, if you will.
The greater good.
It's about, everybody sort of being in it together, taking responsibility for what they're bringing to the party. It's sort of a very new age way to be, but before new age got all ultra spiritual and forgot to be grounded. If that makes sense, right? So like new age, but the fact of new age where your feet are actually in the ground and you understand that you have to take responsibility as well, not just sort of float around.
You can't just spiritually hope that the crops are going to grow. You still have to till the soil and plant the seeds.
Exactly. I'm going to manifest some crops, but I'm not going to go plant any seeds. Right?
That's not the nature of this physical reality.
Right. And Aquarian energy is very much about bringing that new way of thinking, that supportive, communal, revolutionary style that so many people sort of seem to be coming on board towards wanting. It brings a lot of focus on what we're feeling and getting real about what we're feeling, not denying what we're feeling, acknowledging the fact that whether we're in touch with it or not, we feel it. And I mean, we talk a lot about that because that was sort of the story of my life where I thought I was escaping my feelings and I was suppressing them. And I might not have consciously been actually feeling the feelings because I got so good at avoiding them, but they were still in there, right? So that energy is still in the body, whether we're acknowledging it and connecting with it or not. And the truth of it is we feel every single vibration of every single thing, whether it's an emotion, a thought, we feel it all. We're all very sensitive to it. And it's just a matter of coming to the place where we say, okay, you know, I accept this and I'm not going to continue to try to avoid it, right? That's kind of a very Aquarian way to be. Aquarius energy, especially Aquarius full moons, very useful for reconnecting with your truth, your inner, quirky, weird, unique self, right? So instead of trying to fit in that box, Aquarian energy is all, no, be the fucking weirdo you are.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's where we get the joy and the individuality and the fun. Like, could you guys imagine a world where everybody's the same? It would be so fucking boring. Like, if we all looked the same, what, like Stepford or some weird shit, you know what I mean? And if everybody just acted the same, that would be so boring. We just need to learn how to accept our own inner weirdness so that we can accept it in others. Same thing with the darkness, right? When we accept and heal our own stuff, we stop trying to push that down in other people. And that means we start creating inner peace, which manifests and comes into outer peace and a more peaceful world, right? So this is a great time to do that. And because you have that eclipse energy in there as well, even more focus on that, because the eclipse is all about, well, what's in the dark? What's, you know, what do you need to see? So yeah, the Aquarian, bring out that mad scientist, bring out that revolutionary. You guys know I have an inner revolutionary. I don't know how inner it is, but I'm ready to let her out, right? Because what's the quote? They say Gandhi said it. I don't know if he actually did. Be the change you wish to see in the world. I don't know who actually said it, but it's exactly that. So instead of sitting back and looking at the world and being like, the world should be this way and that way, but not embodying that, we start to embody what we wish to bring to the world.
I mean, you know, that famous saying, don't believe everything you read on the internet by Abraham Lincoln, right?
Exactly. So eclipses and the blood moon. So the blood moon just simply comes from the coloring of the moon, right? So during a total eclipse, the moon turns a reddish color when it doesn't go into total darkness, right? There's sometimes the moon goes into full black as it gets blotted out, and you see that happen piece by piece by piece. The last lunar eclipse I got to watch firsthand, actually I was living in Florida at the time, and we went out to the beach and watched it, and the cops actually made us leave. I was like, you are so lame. Like, do you even understand what's happening here? And it was one of the ones where it blacked it out, and it was really, really cool to watch. Yeah, he made us pour out our liquor and leave the beach because you're technically not allowed on the beach at night. I was like, you're lame. So, right, these things, we have eclipses every single year, they vary based on whether they're partial or total or, you know, pre-umbral or whatever they're called when it's only partial for the moon. That's like a whole thing in itself that you can go and get into. But we also have the eclipse season each year. First half of the year, we have the eclipses, right, that take place in January. Goes the first half of the year to the 6 months, and then we have the second half starting in July with the eclipses, the new eclipse season, and we're starting a whole new cycle, right? Yeah, it's a lot, you know, you just do it bit by bit. And that's why at the beginning of the circles and the ceremonies, we do this little breakdown of energies and the information so that the people that are new can kind of understand what's going on. Because when you look at like the moon and it has all of these names, oh my God, it's an eclipse and it's an Aquarius and it's a blood moon and it's a buck moon, and you know, what does that all mean? It's very easy to get overwhelmed. So you just break it down and you say, all right, well, what does the full moon mean? What does Aquarius energy mean? What does eclipse energy mean? And then you sit with that and you take it internally and you find out, you know, kind of what's going on for you and what it represents for you. Mm-hmm. But one of the standard things about eclipses is that they are very potent for revealing what's hidden. They're very potent in bringing out significant change. There are some people who sort of are superstitious about eclipse energy. I think that's kind of an outdated, very back in the day when religion was kind of ruling the show and people were very superstitious. I don't think there's anything bad about eclipse energy. I think that stems from people being afraid of the darkness, mm-hmm. people being afraid of what they might find. So I don't think that there's anything, you know, wrong or bad about working with eclipse energy. I think if you have crystals that are for your shadow work, I think that an eclipse moon is the perfect time to charge them. But if you're not into that, maybe you don't want to do that. And again, I'm not here to tell anybody what they have to do because, as you guys know, I'm a firm believer in doing what feels right for you. And if you have questions, I will always share my experience and what I believe. But by no means does that mean you have to fit to my beliefs. I share so that you guys can say, hey, do I like this? Do I like that? What feels right for me? And then you find what feels right for you. Because you'll be intuitively guided to whatever you need to know. Trisha, of course, I know you know that. So what do you guys know about eclipses? Anything? Trisha, if you want to throw anything in the comments. Sydney, anything? Nothing? So, you know, the moon essentially goes into the shadows. And it's like during the time when the moon would be full, which we would usually have a lot of light, right? The full moon lights up the night. But when it goes into the shadows, all of a sudden it doesn't. You know, in a solar eclipse, the sun gets blotted out by the moon, and that puts us into darkness. So it is. There's a lot of darkness.
Isn't it the time when the sparkly vampires play baseball? Oh, no, that's storms. Sorry.
That's when the sun gets blotted out. Yes, exactly. But anytime there's a lunar eclipse, it's going to intensify the energy of that moon cycle anyway. And because Aquarius is already so revolutionary, you can imagine that intensified energy, how potent it is, right? So like I said before, remember, eclipses run in cycles. So we're now in this new eclipse season that started with the July partial solar eclipse. So if you did the work around the solar eclipse and the intention setting, the meditation and the work, you might have gotten in touch with some guidance or some revelations about your path or where you're going, right? Now, it's time that you're going to realize what needs to be gained in order for you to make your dreams happen. Unfortunately, you're also going to realize what has to be lost, right? Because when you're looking to go over here, you're going to have to do some new shit. You're going to have to get some new shit, but you're also going to have to shed some shit, right? So stuff has to go to make way for the new. And this is a very powerful time for you to see this stuff. So
yeah, it's shit shedding time.
Yeah. We're going to do, during the ritual, the meditation portion, we're going to take you into a place to kind of see what's hanging out in there, see what's in the dark, start seeing what actions need to be taken, right?
Now, there's nothing to be afraid of during this process. Just because last time I journeyed and I went into my shadow, I had this horrible little kid with his skin hanging off leering at me, doesn't mean that you guys are going to experience that.
You never know.
It's just some aspect of my own personality. It's fine.
An ugly little aspect. We all have them. So, and funny enough, right, because the next point I was going to make, full moons and the shadow self, right? Full moon and new moon, your shadow self naturally wants to come out and play. New moon because it's the darkness. Full moon because it's like the werewolf, right? The werewolf comes out on the full moon. Where do you think that comes from? It's like our own inner monster, if you will, wanting to come out in the light of the full moon. So all of those things, the thoughts, the beliefs, the things we don't want to think about, the feelings that we keep tucked tightly away back here in the subconscious and we say, no, thank you. All of those things that sort of contribute to our shadow self, guess what happens during the full moon? They start coming to the surface. And that's why we see people, because when people aren't aware of this, what happens? They become more reactive, more volatile, more sensitive to other people. And that's why you look at someone wrong and the energies are heightened and they freak out on you because they're not doing their own work. And a lot of that energy is coming out sideways during the full moon, especially during an eclipse full moon. So when you come to connect and realize stuff during an eclipse, you can trust that it's real. Eclipses don't lie. What is shown in remember that article, he wrote an article right around the eclipses 2 years ago, and it was about honesty and how you can't keep hiding a lie in the face of eclipse energy. And that's real. Yep, short-tempered, Sydney. I found myself getting very easily angry at my animals. Yeah, right. So it's like you have to look into what's triggering you and look into the aspects of that shadow that's underneath the trigger. And that's part of what we're going to do today. So the interesting thing too is that whether you're ready for it or not, eclipse moon, blood moon energy is going to shove you through that doorway. It's going to shove you towards the change. And keep in mind that change never happens without the loss of something else, right? That's sometimes why we resist letting go of stuff, because we don't want the change. We're afraid of the change. But we have to start trusting that the change is for our best interest and our growth. We need the change.
Right.
Because it's like, we want this in our life, but we don't want anything to change. Well, we can't have both. We can't keep everything the same and have what we want over there. So we got to start making some sacrifices. And this eclipse is the perfect time to show you what those need to be. So finally, the last element of the energies, if you guys have heard, buck moon, sturgeon moon, salmon moon, corn moon, blessing moon, all of these moon names, right? You may or may not know, they all come from Native American Indian tribes, where back in the day, depending on where those tribes were located and what the earth was doing, what the animals were doing, they would name the full moon for that time. So buck moon just comes from certain tribes that were very, present with deer. It was the time of year that the male deer started to grow their antlers. So that would be the buck moon. And that's how they knew it was July, because think about it. They weren't using June, July, August, September. Oh, hey guys, it's June. It's time to go and plant the crops. That wasn't until we came along and fucked everything up from Europe, right? So because every single year, the salmon would run at a certain time of year. So it would be the salmon moon. It was time to plant the corn. The corn was ripening. Some tribes called it the corn moon. Up around the Great Lakes, I think it's the sturgeon moon, because that's the time the sturgeon would be going upstream to start spawning and mating.
And this is the time that they would, in Europe, refer to it as La Luna del Cacciatore, which is hunter's moon.
Hunter's moon.
It's because this time of the year especially, I mean, if you think about it, chicken cacciatore is a dish where the chicken meat is cooked on the bone and is literally falling off the bone.
And it's so good.
Soft and supple. It's referring to the new nature of the meat. So it's like, this is the time of the year in the Northern Hemisphere where the animals have already spawned and, Tricia, there's two of you. What the actual fuck? Am I tripping again?
That's so funny.
Hey, Bart, dude, I got to lay off that LSD. So they were talking about hunting, but catching the young meat.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, there's all those things. So if you ever hear someone saying, it's this moon or it's that moon, there's no argument that has to be had. They're all accurate depending on, it could depend on where you live and which Native American tribes lived around that place. I think in Alaska, it's like the salmon moon. Certain areas, they call it the thunder moon because of those very strong thunderstorms that happen every day here, especially in like the Southeast. So
Sydney, I just want to say in regards to with the anger, and thankfully the anger is passing.
I don't know if she can hear you. She's grabbing her charger.
I'll wait till you come back.
There she is.
Oh, there you are.
Cool.
In regards to thankfully the anger is passing, something that I experienced the other day was quite a lot of anger surging in me over really nothing as part of this process of, identity dying. And I noticed that by implementing the fundamental practices, the 3 pillars, by going back to breath and gratitude, that the anger had very little power.
Mm-hmm.
I was still experiencing it, but whereas it was a frightful thing at first, it was like, why is this here? What's this going to cause me to do? Am I going to lose control of myself and hurt someone? I was able to scale that back in just by coming back to the breath and finding gratitude. And all of a sudden, like we say, anger and gratitude can't stand in the same space at the same time.
No. And a lot of times, I was wondering why you weren't chatting, Trisha. I was like, she's being awfully quiet. Something wrong? Sydney, too, sometimes just simply acknowledging, okay, I'm angry, can diffuse a lot of the tension. Doesn't mean it totally goes away. Like, you're still angry and you still feel like you have all this energy, but that's when you can channel the energy.
Yeah.
Actually, Sydney, I'll share a couple of, let me make a note for myself, a couple of articles I wrote on anger. I'll share them with you. You might like them. Because you guys know anger has been a big part of my journey. Angry at my situation, not with them. Well, that's exactly it. And that's just non-acceptance. And when we're in not accepting, we're going to stay angry because we disagree with the situation that's happening.
And it's easy enough to direct that at your pets because for 2 reasons. They're a life force that's there with you. And let's face it, dogs are moochers.
Well, and they're part of what's, the situation, and that you're faced with this decision that's not easy or happy for you. So yeah, it's easy for that to come out as anger instead of just being, sadness or whatever is underneath the anger. So just allow yourself to process.
Totally. Roll on.
Yeah. So, right. All these energies, all these planets in retrograde, eclipse, blood moon, Aquarian, full moon, blah, 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 blah. Crazy energies, right? Crazy, crazy, potent, intense energies. It's the middle of high summer up here. Those of you in the South, it's the middle of winter. Temperatures are hot. It's fire season, massive fires burning on the West Coast. Fire season keeps getting worse and worse and worse every year. Over here on the East Coast, we're getting pounded with rain all of the time. Rain, 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 rain. So again, it's, as above, so below. Mother Nature is showing us what, cleansing, purging, cleaning. Water and fire are both very powerful for purifying and cleansing. Exactly. We can allow the energies to drive us crazy, or we can use them to propel us forward. And that's exactly it. And that's part of the purpose of us having these circles and these rituals, is to share in the space, learn together how to use the energies to move forward, use the energies, to our benefit, so they're not driving us crazy, and so that you guys can learn and start doing this stuff. Maybe you start doing it on your own. Maybe you start, personally, I love both. I love doing very personalized things that we do on our own, but I also really enjoy the element of having a community to do it with, because I think the collective energy and the support adds to it and helps it move forward. So yeah. Always, right? So we just can always take the cues from Mother Nature. We can always look at what's going on in the world, and we can say, all right, how does this, apply to me? What do I need to do? How can I work with this? I don't have any rolled candles, so we're using Jessica's magical candles for our ritual.
Hey, Trisha, have a look at this. Compared to the crap that came out of Torrance, this is Jessica's.
Yeah, these are Jessica's candles. They're great. They're beautiful. Her East Mountain.
she's been doing it for 10 minutes and she's making 100 times better quality than
Yeah.
what's coming out of Torrance,
Her
California.
candles are great, and they're organic, soy and hemp, and not all this toxic. Yeah, you guys, you'll really like them. I'm really a big fan of this one. Her cultivate, attract what you expect, reflect what you desire, become what you want, become what you respect, mirror what you admire. And I think that that's a great little thing. So we're using these for our ritual today. And again, you guys can always use, if you don't want to use candles, you don't have to use candles. You can use whatever you're intuitively guided to use, right? So with that, do you guys have any questions or anything you want to say or share before we actually open circle and go into the ritual? Yeah, they smell divine too.
Yeah, exactly. You can use birthday candles.
Yeah, you could totally use birthday candles if that's all you have, right? Fire, because the thing isn't in the candle; it's in the use of the fire. And yes, like if you went back and watched the correspondences class, of course, bringing in a candle of a certain color or a candle that's anointed with oils, or like this one has essential oils and chevron amethyst, so that's adding in layers of correspondence. But if all you have is a pink birthday candle, who cares? That's enough because it's the fire that we're working with. And if you don't have any fire, that's okay too. You can, at the end, when I tell you guys to burn the thing that we're going to burn, you can bury yours in the earth, which actually I think is more appropriate for you anyway.
It's very much, it's not the materials
that you're using.
Everything only has the meaning you choose to give it.
That's right.
And that's correspondences work because a whole bunch of stuff.
Trisha said the same thing.
Yeah, a whole bunch of stuff has a particular meaning put on it, and it layers to create a super meaning for something. That's why, just very quickly, that's why correspondences work.
That's right.
But if you look at someone like Snape, he can cast his own spells without a wand because his intention is that powerful.
And he can do it without even saying the words out loud.
If you're looking at Harry Potter's world. Whereas, there are other magicians that need to set up their little studio or whatever they call it in magic terms.
Altar?
Yeah, whatever. And my bad. And they have their wand and they have to incant and they have to anoint and, they have to go through this process. Mm-hmm. Whereas when Snape steps into the room, he just thinks it and it fucking happens.
Mm-hmm. And there's also, in the sort of twisted side of things, there are people who want you to buy their products, so they would teach you that, oh my God, if you're not doing it this way with this particular item, you're failing or you're not going to get the results. And that's part of the fear culture that goes on in some retail spiritual circles. And I've seen it in more than one place, and that's not accurate either. So
obviously Snape's my favorite.
I used to watch people get all up in arms and freaking out if they didn't have the exact things for certain rituals in a place that I was helping out in, and that energy would be perpetuated. And that's part of what I was like, this is like not cool. Like, you should be teaching people to work with what they have, not that they have to have the thing that you made. It was that culture of you have to buy my stuff. So yeah. All right. So yes, if you guys want to smudge, you can do that now. And Sydney, you've got oils, and that's good too, because we are going to use some oils today.
And speaking about rituals, we're in chats about bringing a very powerful shaman across from California, Baja Peninsula, to here to do a ritual. Probably going to rent an Airbnb if anyone's interested.
Yeah, well, they would have to get to Florida, but we can talk about that another time.
Yeah, just throwing it out there.
Cool. Don't worry, Sydney, we'll send you some. And I like my Palo too. All right, so we'll open our circle. I turn to the directions. You guys can stay still. You can turn, you can move. You can do whatever you so feel called. But this energy is for you as well. He doesn't like the smell of sage. Who doesn't like the smell of sage? What is he, a demon?
That's funny.
All right, let's do it. we will turn to the direction of the east, to the element of air, to the hawk and the eagle spirits to guide us and come into our circle. We invite you into our space to help us see with your keen and powerful hunter's eyes. Guide us forward, especially as we really work with this Aquarian air-fused energy to propel us forward into the places where maybe we don't particularly want to go. We invite you into our space to guide us and protect us. And to the direction of south and to the element of fire, we turn and we ask you to come into our space. Bring your purifying energies, the salamander, the dragon spirits. Come into this space to protect, to purify, to propel us forward. And to the direction of the west and the element of water, the home of our brothers, the whale and dolphin, the intelligence of the earth, the wisdom of the earth. We call upon you to come into our space, to bring your nourishing, life-giving energies, your purifying, healing waters, to carry us forward, bring protection, bring healing, and bring purity. And then, of course, to the direction of north, to the element of earth, to the spirits of the wolf and the bear, where we gain support, where we gain nurturing. Come into this space, bring us your wisdom, bring us your healing, connect us to the support and the abundance of the earth as we walk upon you. Bring us the clarity of being grounded and the nurturing of the earth mother. And up to the heavens, to above, we call upon any of our angel guides, our spirit guides, our ancestral guides, guides of the light, guides with our highest interest in mind. We ask that you come into our circle to offer guidance, to offer protection, to offer clarity and support as we move into this space of darkness. And to the underworld, we ask any underworld guides, animal guides, guides from deep within the earth, spirits of our own best interest and well-being for the highest good of all of us. We invite you into this space to accompany us on our journey, on our own independent journeys into the darkness. We are opening ourselves to you, to your guidance, bring in your protection and your power. And so it is. Leading into the eclipse, right, we have to release, we have to journey into our own darkness in order to experience our own type of death. We have to sit within the shadowy side of ourselves and be comfortable with what we find there, no matter how painful that may be. Sometimes it's only when we sit inside of the pain and inside of the darkness that we are able to transcend it and glow again like the moon does when the shadow finally passes. So that as above, so below. When the moon comes out from the shadows, so do we when we come out from the light. The shadows will always pass. We just have to trust as we make our way through the darkness. We just have to be willing to surrender and release so that we can emerge once again fresh and reborn. And the ritual we're going to do today is going to prepare us for this. And just one final cleansing. We cleanse away the past. We release all of, and you guys can repeat this if you want to repeat it as an I statement. We cleanse away the past. We release our old worn pains. We let go of yesterday, release it to the smudge. We begin to rise again. We are safe. We are strong. We are protected. We are light once more. And if you guys want to light your candles, you can do that now. So we're going to bring in Mama Labradorite as well. If you have your essential oils out, if you're going to work with any essential oils and you want to get them out, maybe so you can smell them. We'll use them in a minute. Yeah, we can put that out. And then sit back Take a nice deep breath, roll your shoulders back, start to focus in on your candle flame if you're working with the fire. If you're not working with the fire or you don't have fire, you can zoom in on that. That won't work. Here we go. Move it. There we go. You can focus on that flame. Or close your eyes. Start going within. Take a nice deep breath. Maybe inhale one of your oils, the scents of your oils that you've chosen to work with. Take a nice few deep grounding breaths like you guys are so familiar with through working with us. If you have a candle in front of you and you want to gaze upon that flame, you can do that, or you can gaze upon an internal flame, an internal light if your eyes are closed. And just begin to come deep into your body. Begin visualizing yourself sitting. Visualize yourself sitting there. Imagine a beautiful golden light. Focus in on this golden light for a few moments. Taking at least 10 or 20 breaths in and out. Seeing the light around you growing stronger. Seeing it grow more vibrant as it fills up the entire room. See it as it encompasses everything all around you. Feel the golden light. Focusing on those nice deep breaths. Connecting with that light. Letting it permeate, letting it surround you. And as you connect with the light, connect with the idea, you can repeat these words internally if you would like. This beautiful white and golden light grounds and protects me. I feel at peace. I feel calm. I can relax, knowing that all is in perfect order. There is nothing for me to dwell on or think about, as everything is working out perfectly. As you're repeating these words, visualize and connect with the feeling of everything working out perfectly. Feel how it feels in your body when everything works out perfectly and you know it and you trust it. Everything is going to be resolved. Everything is going to be just fine. This golden and white light grounds and protects me, and I know I am safe. Feel the safety. Feel the support surging through your body. Feel yourself standing up a little bit taller because you know that you're supported and held and you trust that. I know my loved ones are safe. I know everything is as it is meant to be. And take a moment letting that feeling of everything being as it is meant to be, feel that in your body. Feel the emotions that are attached to everything being as it is meant to be, and that you trust the process. Connect with what it feels like to know you are supported and everything is working out, and you don't have to worry. You don't have to try to control everything. Connect with what that feels like. And when you're ready, you feel like you've connected with that, grab one of your oils that you're working with, dip your finger in if you're working with an oil, anoint your third eye, and as you anoint your third eye, just take a brief moment to ask the universe for help or guidance in the one area of your life that is troubling you the most right now. So as you anoint with that oil, just ask for help. You don't have to say it in a fancy way. It doesn't have to be in the perfect words. Just ask the universe for help in that one area where you need it most. Dear universe, please guide me through this situation. Fill in the blank. And visualization is powerful. Allow me to let go of all that is not mine to carry. Allow me to feel at peace with how things are and how things may be. Acceptance. Allow me to let them go so I can feel relaxed and at ease. Allow me the strength to let things be just as they are, and to find the faith that a resolution will be born soon. And as you're sitting in that space, again, connect with the feeling of, picture yourself in that space of acceptance. Will you be dancing around in joy? Will you feel so free? Will you be throwing a party? Will you be jumping up and down? What will you be doing? Connect with that.
So with your eyes closed, connect to your breath. Connect to the conscious breath, the bridge between the inner and the outer worlds. And we're walking this bridge into ourselves, journeying down into the depths within you, moving your way down into the darkest reaches of yourself. And you see yourself standing. You're standing in that space. It's completely dark around you. You can't make out the size of the space that you're in. It might be big, it might be small. This is your own inner landscape. You don't know if you're in a room. It's perfectly dark, and that is okay. And you realize in this moment that you actually have a flashlight or a lantern in your hand, and you turn on the light. You turn on the light and you look around the space, and there is a message for you somewhere in the space. There's something waiting for you, something that you need to see, something that you need to know. Connect with it. Let it teach you what you need to know. Be guided right now. Be guided in this inner landscape, in this space of darkness within yourself. Be guided to the lessons that are here to teach you the truth of your nature. Be guided to the truth of yourself. And when you have come to the moment that you have understood the message that was waiting for you in this space, in the depths of your own self, come back to the breath which is the bridge between the worlds. Come back to the breath and feel it bringing you back to your body. Bring it back to yourself sitting in a room comfortably. Bring that message back, and in your own time, open your eyes. And if you have a message from yourself, now take it and write it down somewhere. Write it down on a piece of paper in front of you. A piece of paper that can be removed from your journal if you're in a journal. If there was no message for you, that's okay too.
It may come through later. Also, write down anything you are committed to releasing, anything that you have come to connect with that needs to go.
There's a profound message in the message of no message as well. If nothing has come for you, that is a very profound message within itself. Write down what flows for you right now. Write down what you need to see for yourself on paper. And when you're ready to release,
you're going to burn this. Sydney, you're going to go bury yours in the earth if you don't have fire. Trisha, you can bury yours or burn it. Anybody who's watching as a replay, you guys can do, but please burn in a safe way.
Not on carpet or beds.
Got my shot here that I'm burning into. You know, burning's a powerful way to clear, to release. You can scatter the ashes. You can put the ashes out into the earth, scatter them to the air, because remember the Aquarian element brings a lot of air to this moon. I would take some time to journal after you do this. I would also pay attention to any dreams you might have over the next few days, because dreams can show us a lot. Burn it into the smudge if you really want to cleanse it, like you said. Put out your candles. Oh, you're still doing, I'm sorry, jumping the gun.
How's everybody feeling?
And so you guys stay open over the next few days, you know, stay open for the messages, for the guidance, stay open to the answers that may be being presented to you from maybe places you wouldn't expect, and try to keep coming back and connecting with that feeling of what it feels like when everything is taking care of itself. Connect with that feeling of what it feels like when things are working out as they're meant to for your highest good, right? Keep that feeling here. Keep checking in with that feeling. Maybe create some affirmations or an altar around whatever it is. You know, the possibilities are endless for what you can do with the energies. Definitely, I suggest, you know, taking some time to journal. Right? Anything else you would say?
No, so just close your eyes for a few minutes.
Well, yeah, because we're going to close the circle anyway, so if you want to sit with it. Or were you going to do something else?
No.
Okay. Yeah, so if you guys want to close your eyes for a moment, get back in touch with that feeling. Get back in touch. Bring it up. Recall it. Recall that feeling of being held, of being supported. Connect with that. You are supported. No matter what your mind is telling you, you are supported. There is a divine path playing out for you. Trust it. Allow it. When you try to say how the path should look, you're making yourself take detours and take longer to arrive at the place where you're going to end up anyway. So just allow it. So connect with that feeling as we move to close our circle. And, you know, we first turn to the underworld, to the spirits from beneath us who came into our space to help us navigate our way into the dark. We thank you and we release you from our service, your service. And then we turn to the heavens and to our angel guides and our ancestors and our spirit guides. anyone else from above. We thank you for your service in this space, for your guidance and your light and your protection. We trust you. We trust that you will guide us moving forward, and we will allow you to guide us. We start by turning to the north, the energies of the bear and the wolf, and to the element of the earth. We thank you for your service. We thank you for your support. We thank you for carrying us through our lives. And to the direction of the west and the element of water, we release you from your service. Thank you to our brothers, the whale and the dolphin, who come and bring us the wisdom of the water and the life-giving energy of water. Thank you. And to the direction of the south, to the element of fire, the salamander and the dragon, we thank you for your service. We thank you for bringing your transformational, purifying energies into our space. We release you. And to the east, the elements of air, to the keen sight of the hawk and the eagle, we release you from our service, from your service. We ask that you continue to provide us with your keen sight as we move forward, as we allow ourselves to be guided. We ask that you help us to see what needs to be seen from afar, to see what needs to be seen before we have to get up close and personal with us. We ask you to continue in this service to us over these next few days. We thank you. And so it is, and our circle is closed. So yes, you guys, definitely just take some time, try to be the observer. Take some time to journal, take some time to reflect, and take some time to practice calling up that energy of support. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. Cool. And if you guys have anything you want to share or talk about, you can feel free to message or post on the wall. Thank you so much, Trisha and Sydney, for joining us live. We appreciate you guys being here. Thank you. And for everybody who watches the replay, thank you. Enjoy. We'll talk to you guys soon. Much love, many blessings. Namaste. Go out and face the darkness. Bye.